Good day, this 61st day, meaningful moments, 365 days. Today, I'd like to share with you a few little stories that are hidden links, the kind that we don't always see, the kind that are sometimes revealed to us years later. And that's the first moment that we realize that these were hidden links connecting us. And in doing so today, I light this candle for the ones who have gone before us, the ones who have helped us to see different things, whether it was when they were here or when they passed on, and in spirit that live with us. So the first piece of this story starts out with a Facebook post that a friend that I've, intermittently stayed in contact with over the years during a time that I was located in a different state. And I had met this friend through my son, who went to a summer camp, and met her son. And they had a few different times they played together, and I think the greater connection then became between her and I because we both had experienced a divorce and challenges with, what our children were going through at that time. And in the Facebook post, it was very unclear, but it seemed as though there were many condolences that were being given. And I put out a reply to that post with just loving blessings for her and her daughter and family. And then another friend wrote to me in a private message sharing just a little bit more about the details of the passing of her son. It was interesting to me at that moment because I realized that the hidden links sometimes aren't visible to us, or in our awareness, we may perceive that it's us that are going through something, and we see the scope of, what's just right in front of us. But in this particular situation, it really hit me, and it's been riding with me for the last 24 hours because a few years ago, just a couple of years ago, there were some posts that this friend had shared, and it was along the lines of, being proud of the achievements that her son had been receiving recognition for, and he seemed so engaged at that time with life. And at that particular time, I was going through a very challenging time with my son and had fears for his well-being and for his care at that time. And I remember in those posts feeling how blessed she was, and so wishing that my son would feel that engagement with life, and that he too could see his greatness in that way. And here we are 2 years later, and my son did go through a very rough period over the last few years. And yet, it is her son that is no longer here. And it hit me really hard because I thought this could have been a different way for my own son. And I called my son and I shared this bit with him and thanked him so much for being here and how proud I was of him for all that he has come through and how he has stayed committed to his development and learning, and felt my mama heart full at that moment for the blessing of my son. So when a different friend had wrote to me and shared some of those details about the passing of my other friend's son, she added on a bit more after I shared with her just what I shared with you about that moment in time a couple years back, and that reflection I had and what my son was going through at that time. Well, then she responds back to me and shares a time when she knew my son when he was young and had been his swimming instructor for a while, and how happy she was that she had that opportunity to be with him. And of course, she didn't know those things that my son had gone through a few years back, because we already had moved away, and it had been like 7 years since we had seen those people. So, we all knew each other when our kids were like 7. And now they're teenagers, young men. Anyway, then she shared about a time at that moment when my son was with her swimming and in those swim lessons, and how she had faced a really difficult time, having come through a divorce as well, and this dark period in her own life, and how we never really know what other people are facing, and how oftentimes, we kind of, I guess, get ourselves together and move through life and, do the best that we can in a way that, goes through the motions, but our hearts may be grieving. They may be very heavy with whatever the situations are of our loved ones or who's around us. So it was a moment that she had experienced and was sharing this with me now, and offered the additional sharing that she had been very thankful that I had showed her kindness during those times and was positive around her, and thankful for our paths having crossed. Again, I didn't know any of that. I didn't know that link that connected us. I did not know what my other friend had gone through with her son over the last couple of years, and what hidden links were there. They didn't know about my son, or the divorce that I had gone through in that case with that friend, and what my pain at that time had been. So none of us quite knew the pain of one another, yet there were these links. And it really sat with me, this whole thing, because I wrote back to her and said, well, thank you for sharing that with me. And my heart felt so grateful that it allowed me to see just a little bit more about how we are as human beings, how we move through this life with all these hidden links. We don't see them, so maybe we don't give them enough credence. Perhaps we're not aware of it, but we can rest assured that there are always hidden links, all the time. Everything is interconnected. And this experience of these little stories and how they were all linked together in some way was just mind-blowing, frankly. Touched me really deeply, because it's the power of being able to grow our compassion and to share with one another these little bits and pieces that we don't even know, by just going forth in life with this innate courage, not one that we put on like a mask, but an innate courage, the power of spirit that moves through us and touches others. And that's at work all the time. it's emitting from us, right? It's a frequency, it's a vibration of our own being emitting out. And the power of that love for one another. So, with all these little hidden links today, I'm reflecting, lighting this candle for my friend, her son, on the other side, for my other friend, and bringing this all together for my own son, all the parents out there that have faced incredibly challenging times working with the souls that came to share this life experience with them, and all the learning that's going on, and the peace, blessings, all those things that we encounter in life. These brave, courageous souls, we are growing the collective consciousness. Every breath. For you, bravely.